The name is Mr. T. First name is Mr. Middle name is that period. Last name is T. Listen and listen good. I'm talking to you. When a new kid moves in on your block, what's your attitude? Do you figure, what do we need him for? Well, I pity the fool that makes that mistake. The friends you already got might not be all the friends you ever need. And when you keep new people out, just because they're new to you, you're only cheating yourself. So don't you ever write nobody off just because he's the new kid on the block. You never know what you might be missing till you get to know them. So take it from me, Mr. T. But listen up now, this is serious. When you're tempted to do something wrong, even if the reasons are good, think twice, because you never know how things will turn out. You might be getting yourself and everybody else into a whole lot of trouble. Do what's right, and you can't go wrong. Take it from me, Mr. T. Hey, this is Mr. T talking. It's capital T that rhymes with me. You know, sometimes we get so wrapped up in how a problem bothers us, we don't see what the problem really is. So when you get your feelings hurt by somebody you love, think a minute before you cry and moan about your own feelings. Because the person you love might be the one who's really hurting. Take it from me, Mr. T. Listen up, people. This is Mr. T talking to you. Ever feel like giving up on something? Like it's the only way to solve a problem? Well, most times, quitting only makes things worse. Knowing when not to quit, that's always harder than throwing in the towel. Don't assume you can't handle a tough situation. You don't know that until you try. But you can't solve your problems by running away from them. That just makes things worse. Not just for you, but for everybody around you. And that's a tip to you from me, Mr. T. So please don't brag. Only fools brag. Bragging just shows you can shoot off your big mouth. If you're great, people will know it. You don't have to tell them anything. Just like I don't have to tell you. Understand? Now listen, we're nobody's fool. You can't take people for granted. You can be with somebody every day and never really know them. So don't treat people like furniture. Don't treat a teammate like he's invisible, because everybody is important on a real team. Take the time to find out what people are about, and you will be glad you did. Listen to a friend, Mr. T. Some people expect a free ride through life, cruising by on good looks and luck. Let me tell you something right now. It don't work that way. And if you think somebody gonna hand you something for nothing, you're wrong too. Having talent is just the beginning. It takes education, dedication, and determination to be a success. If you work real hard, you can become the best that you can be. And that's a promise from me, Mr. T. See, we always have to sacrifice something to get something else we want more. But that's cool, because that's the only way we ever learn what's really important. You got Mr. T word on that. Mr. T here, and I got a question for you. Have you ever wanted to believe in something, even though you knew it couldn't be true? Did you ever want to believe it so bad you didn't pay attention to what your common sense was telling you? Well, that's a good way to get into trouble. See, there's always gonna be some real sad parts in life that's hard to accept. That wishing something was different won't make it so. They're learning the difference between things they can change and things they can't. That's one of life's toughest lessons. Take it from someone who's been there. Take it from me, Mr. T. What it takes to be a good leader. Patience, planning, and participation. Good leaders know what they can do, and they know what others can do better. They share the work and share the credit. The point is to get the job done, and done right. Not to hog the glory by doing it all yourself. Take it from me, Mr. T. You know, people get very mean over priceless things, and they'll stop at nothing to get them. You know, there comes a time when you got to make up your own mind. You got to do what's right, and what's right for you. It sounds easy, don't it? But it ain't. Making your own decision is part of growing up. It's tough, because you learn there's more than one way to go. So think hard, make the best choice you can, If you respect your decision, so will everyone else, especially me, Mr. T. Guess Woody had to learn the hard way how dangerous jealousy can be. There's nothing wrong with wanting to love somebody, but jealousy doesn't come from love. It comes from feeling unsure of yourself and being afraid of getting hurt. When you really love somebody, you trust them, and you don't go around prying to parts of their lives that don't concern you. That leads to a bad scene. Take it from me, Mr. T. So remember, next time you get the big head and think you can do everything by yourself, remember nobody can, not even Mr. T. Some people make fun of others for wearing glasses. Well, I pity the fools who do that, because there's nothing wrong with wearing glasses if you need them, right?
Right!
Problems don't go away. They just keep growing and making things worse. Not only for you, but for your friends as well. He learned a valuable lesson. You put things off, you're only looking for trouble. Woody was lucky this time, but don't you press your luck. If things start looking fuzzy and blurred, you get your eyes checked right away. Okay?
Okay!
Okay. That guy in the car, you know him?
No.
You know where he lives? You ever seen him before?
No.
Then he's a stranger, and you got no business being around him. Now everybody listen up. We're gonna talk about strangers. You gotta learn how to deal with them. You gotta. Spike ran into a couple of bad strangers, and we almost never saw him again. I want you to get your mother, your daddy, your uncle, or your aunt. I want them to watch The Mystery of the Stranger with you. It's a mystery every one of you has got to solve. Take it from me, Mr. T. Yeah, that's the way it should be. Your family is the first team, the best team. It's jealousy. Like feeling shortchanged when somebody else is getting all the attention. If your brother or sister does something special and get a lot of attention, you should be happy for them, proud of them, just like I would be for you. Get the point? If you do, you'll be right on target. Take it from me, Mr. T. What's the matter? Don't you see the sign? It says wet paint. You really can't read, can you? Don't worry, Vernon. Many kids have trouble with reading, but they keep quiet about it because they don't want other people to think they're dumb. But keeping quiet about a problem is the wrong thing to do. You can't get help unless others know you need it. But in order to learn anything, you have to know how to read. Your future depends on it. If you have trouble reading, don't hide it like Spike did. It can only get you into a lot of trouble. There's help available if you ask for it. Leon, what you doing? That was a perfectly good hot dog you threw away. I know you don't think much about food because it's always there when you need it. But there's no excuse for that kind of waste. Do you know what it's like to be hungry? I mean, really hungry? Maybe you think you do. I'm not talking about missing a meal. I'm talking about going without food for days. Learn firsthand about hunger and what it really does to people. The team's going to help starving kids all over the world any way they can. And that's something you should think about too. Real friends don't drag you down. Remember what happened to Grant. When someone started leaning on you, get help from a real friend like me, Mr. T. So you see, privacy is real important. The bottom line is, we all have things that is very important to us that we don't want other people to touch. How would you feel if someone went through your stuff? You wouldn't like it, would you? So, respect other people's property, and they'll respect yours. Got it? And that's a promise from me, Mr. T. Control your weight. Don't let it control you. Eat smart, eat good, and you'll be smart and look good. And that, mateys, is the trick. What kind of Indians are you? Sioux? Cherokee? You don't know? No. You think all Indians are the same? All Latinos the same? All Chinese the same? No, Indians aren't the same either. And you're making a big mistake if you expect folks to be something that they are not. The whole town full of folks hated all Indians and all Red Ferns for 75 years. They thought all Indians were alike, and that ignorance caused them to suffer and make them look stupid. So don't ever judge somebody for what they are, but who they are. And when you meet them, don't expect them to be. Let them be. There's one thing all magic has in common: illusion. It's making people think they saw something that they didn't. The point is this: things aren't always what they seem. In magic and in life, there's always something more that meets the eye. If you don't get the message, you will. Did everybody get the message?
Yes.
That's good, because the message here is very important. Always let someone know where you're going. Don't just take off, even if you think you're leaving for a good reason. It might end up that you'll need help too, and it's pretty hard to find help if no one knows where you are. Always leave a message, and always tell someone where you're going, and you can't go wrong. And that's a note from Mr. T. Listen up. Sometimes life gives you a bad fortune, but you can't let it get you down. You just keep pushing, and everything will turn out just fine. Take it from me, Mr. T. I get angry just thinking about it makes me mad. Little kids doing drugs, it turns my stomach. That stuff hurts. It stops you from living up to your potential. It holds you back. It hurts the user. It hurts his family. And it hurts his friends. I just want to shake some sense into you kids that are using drugs and thinking about using. So remember, don't, or else. Okay? Always check the facts. Then you decide. That's a tip from me, Mr. T.